Thank you so much for joining us for another session of the Girls Education Initiative of Ghana, GIG's Women Who Inspire Us speaker and workshop series. Our guest today is Miss, I hope it's Miss, I hope I'm not butchering anything, Miss Betty Osei Bonsu, who will be talking to us about her journey and touching us a little bit on the theme of today, which is reframing the African woman's narrative. So, which you cannot see me because we have a power outage, but I'm sure everybody can hear my voice. Without much ado, I would like to introduce Betty, and I will go off video. So she has the floor. Right, so 1 second. Betty Osei Bonsu is an environmentalist who is very passionate about green recovery. She serves as the project coordinator for Green African Youth Organization, GAYO, where she's championing the Sustainable Community Project and its replication to other regions in Ghana. This is providing green jobs for more than 70 youth in rural communities while diverting waste from landfills. Betty Osei Bonsu is an environmentalist who is very passionate about green recovery. She serves as the project coordinator, as I mentioned, for GAYO. And we are very ecstatic to have her join us today to share her journey into the industry and her life story with us. Betty, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. It's a pleasure to join you today and share my story, the story of an African woman. It was the sound of a baby crying. Yes, and upon looking at her face, or the baby's face, it was a girl child. And that mother smiled and said, I'm going to name her Betty, meaning star. Yes, Betty, the one in front of you, born to a family of 7 in one room, living beside a slum. You'll be shocked that she's seated before you today and telling the story. In that particular area, you would have occasions like floodings, where I would be asked to use pails to fetch water from my room or the whole entire house. You would have our entire belongings, the beds, precious things, being lifted up using bricks. Poor facility, poor toilet utilities, lack of water, you'd have to go and fetch water every day. Finally, our problem was alleviated. But surprisingly, that was with our entire house being burnt to the ground due to faulty electrical wiring and intense heat in that area. Yes, my name is Betty Osei Bonsu. I am an African woman, an environmentalist, author, and an activist. I currently serve as a project coordinator for Green Africa Youth Organization and host a YouTube series called Be Inspired with Stories from Africa. The story of an African woman is sad. Yes, it is, but it's empowering. I'm telling you this story today because I overcame and I still will and keep on doing so. I didn't do that deviantly, but through hard work and passion. My first job was through a volunteering opportunity. It was a Monday morning. I received a call from a colleague in school. I just completed my national service. He mentioned and said, hello, Betty. There's a particular opportunity we want you to present, and it's be happening in Accra. And I was in Takwa. And I asked him, all the way to Accra, and you want me to volunteer for it? He said, yes, they want you to volunteer for it. I said, okay. I picked up my bag. I headed for Accra. I finished the presentation. It was a round of applause. When I finished, the host shook my hand and said, "Great job. Thank you very much. All the best." I smiled, picked up my bag, and went back home. I got home. I met my elder brother who told me, "Okay, yes, so what did they give to you?" And I said, "They didn't give me anything, but I loved the opportunity and the platform." He looked at me and said, "Why don't you go and eat the platform and the experience and the opportunity?" I kept quiet. A year later, I was called by that same organization that I volunteered for. And they asked me if I was willing to accept a job to become the program's assistant. I got employed, and that is how I have been causing the change that I am seeing now in my community and beyond. What are those changes I'm talking about? When I was being introduced, you heard the Sustainable Community Project. This is the project that started in a local area in Kumasi at Adansi South, and currently is in replication to 4 other regions in Ghana, and even scaled off from Ghana to other regions like Mali, Uganda, Kenya, and other African countries. So yes, the African woman. With this particular project, I work with community individuals to use the existing resource within the community to produce valuable resources or valuable products that are not only beneficial to them, but can be commercialized to other individuals within the communities. And with this, we are able to build their capacity. We are also able to provide employment opportunities and, importantly, divert waste from landfill. I have a lot of story to tell, but I hope this my little story would be very impactful. So yes, let me tell you another story. Whilst I was during my early age, my mother would always go to the market to source for heads of fish, because usually when individuals go to markets, they dispose of the head of fish. They don't like them, so they just cut that away. So mother will go to the market, she'll pick them, she'll bring them home to us, and she'll cook a delicious meal for us. We weren't having so much, so that was how we were getting our daily bread. She was a waste worker to me. That was more like circular economy, because you are actually using what is being discarded. So you can imagine doing this work and working with waste workers. I feel like giving to them is giving to my mother. So that has increased my love for what I do. Or is it the Youth Climate Club I founded, where I'm mobilizing hundreds of youth within universities through the Gaio Eco Club campus chapters, where we are creating environmental stewards who today are our future leaders. And with these programs, we're touching lives of students within universities, creating employment opportunities for them, and also experiences when it comes to the field of work, and giving them the experience of also having direct contact with their community. Is it a water for adaptation project, where I reach out to the northern areas of Ghana, providing accessibility to water for them, where young individuals or young females who do not have the time to go to school because they have to do household chores are alleviated from that. So therefore, the water is brought to them in front of their houses, rather than them walking 5 miles, several distances to go and fetch water. Continue my story. I can recall one very time during the ages of I was developing, I was in secondary school. My father was sick, so he couldn't pay my fees. They couldn't afford it. With tears, I spent my afternoon at the public library. only to be called after 5 hours to an overwhelming news that my school fees has been paid by an unknown person. And additionally, I had a school daughter whose mother quickly transferred another set of school fees to my mother's account. That same time, the director decided to just cancel my fees and gave me a free fees card. You can see that's overwhelming. 3 times payment of fees. I would never forget this. The reason why I always look back to my community, the reason why I always want to extend that hand of giving, because I have been in that bottom before. Apart from passion and hard work, what assisted me is also seizing opportunities, delivering the best I can when given the opportunity. I have been called for this presentation. I could have decided to just say anything, but I sat down to prepare, even if it was my own story, to prepare and deliver my own story. As a young African woman, I have learned to portray myself to be bold, confident, and priceless. This should apply to every one of you watching me. Do you have a LinkedIn account? If you don't, you have to create one and start making meaningful connections, because that is very, very important. I'm able to utilize every opportunity I get and learn from every situation. And that is what has helped me, apart from passion and hard work. I've been able to identify a model, watch the model closely, and make sure I learn from every footstep. This is my story, and I hope you are learning from this. The story of an African woman, Osei Bonsu, is pure of art. That is who I am. Always seeing positivity in every situation and hoping to produce the best of results at every given opportunity is what I do. An African woman. Today, I'm redefining that story of an African woman to be more of an empowerment to many African women out there. All that matters is a pure heart, the heart of volunteerism, the heart of gold. Thank you. This is my story. Betty, the African woman. Thank you very much.
All right, Betty, thank you so much for your very poignant presentation. I am truly inspired. I just have 2 questions for you so far, and then we could have a conversation also afterwards. I jotted down as you were speaking, what do you think about the importance of volunteering, especially as Betsy in senior high school felt so inspired to go and volunteer and give back to her community? What do you think is so important about youth today? Why should they be volunteering and being a member of their community?
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. So yes, volunteerism is very important. I've always said this, that the heart of a volunteer is priceless than gold, because you come in with that free heart, not expecting anything, but you don't live the same. You live with experience. You live with something more than what you came with. And that is the story I told you of how just a one-time volunteerism has helped me to become or get to where I am today. So volunteerism is very important because you get to learn a lot from it. You get to connect, you get to network, because you don't know who you are going to meet. I never knew I was coming to meet you, Elizabeth. We were only communicating through emails. So I had to volunteer to actually come and speak to you today, because it takes time to sit down and plan. If you don't plan, you can say anything you want to say, but it wouldn't make sense. So I'm a volunteer at heart.
Okay.
I have been a volunteer at heart, and I think it's a very priceless thing to be a volunteer. Yeah.
So you spoke a little bit about senior high school Betty. Can you take us back to that young girl? And what was it about the work that you do right now? I'm wondering if the seeds to do green work during this revolution that's going on, it was planted back when you were in senior high school. I'm really curious about young Betty and what the inspiration was to do the work that you're doing.
Okay, so I told you the story earlier on from when I was a child and how I felt the burnt of climate change, or should I say, I felt the impact of disasters. So I think that is where the passion actually stemmed from. But in senior high school, although I studied science, I'd always wanted to become a medical doctor. But the actual spark for my environmental work started from that particular volunteer or that particular action I took, where I was in Takwa and I had to travel all the way to Accra to volunteer and speak for a conference. When I finished, I traveled back on my own money, my own everything. So that was where it actually ignited. However, it has always been in me. When I was in senior high school, I've always been that person who you see to be a leader. So in senior high school, I was in leadership position. I was given a chaplaincy. I love singing. So I was this kind of lady in school. I was that kind of dedicated lady who is always learning. The director loved me. However, he couldn't just decipher between taking a lovely child and the fact that he has to run his school on fees. And that is the reason why he said I had to go home because I couldn't pay my fees. And I didn't tell that story in details, but I just touched it. So let me now use the opportunity to tell the story in detail.
Okay, please go ahead.
When I was chased from school, I didn't leave school. I left my bag in the dormitory. My father sent one of his sisters to come and pick me from school. She came to school and she said, Betty, pick your bags, let's go home. And I said, no, I'm not going to go. I can take care of myself. They called my parents. I refused to listen to them. I said, I'm not going anywhere because they're sending me back home. Then I went to some of my teachers. I went to my teachers, please, I'm going to go home if you don't help me. Can you help me pay my fees? Maybe I can work and give you the money, or maybe my father will become better and he'll give you the money. I recall that the teacher, he told me, Betty, I'm sorry, I don't have money. Even as I'm talking to you, I've not been paid for 6 months. I said, wow. I went to the principal. I went to his office. I knocked. I entered and I told them, please, sir, my father is not doing well. Can you help me? Let me stay in school for the meantime. He said, no, he can't feed on words. So I have to pack my things and go. I closed the door to his office and I was about leaving and I saw another office, and that office was the vice principal. He was an atheist. I don't know if many of you know an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. But everyone knew I was a chaplain. I knocked, I gained courage, I knocked at the door. He said, come in. I entered and I said, sir, please, I have been asked to go home. My parents can't cater for my fees. Can you help me? And he said, you are a Christian and you are the chaplain, and you are telling me the principal refused you from staying in the school? I said, yes. He said, okay, you don't worry, you go. I said, okay. I got back. When I got to the dormitory, I had to use my fees card to enter the dormitory. So they refused me entry, and I decided to go to the public library. I spent 5 hours there just crying. And eventually I slept, only to wake up with a tap at my back. So a friend of mine saying they've been searching for me helter scatter the entire school. looking for me. I said, why? He said, you go to the school and find out. When I got there, just at the gates, one person was like, Betty, where have you been? I got one of the students who was a soldier who decided to pay your fees. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. I saw another student who said, the director is looking for you. I went to the director only to be presented with a fees card. And then I received a call from my mother who told me one lady from the school has also deposited my school fees in her account. And I was like, oh my God. So yes, an atheist, I don't know if an atheist saved me, but I'm sure he was part. If a lot of people saved me, he was part. So that's how my secondary school was. It was miracle upon miracle. I mentioned that my name, Betty, to my mother meant star and oath of God. So that name has always followed me. So that is how my secondary school was.
Thanks very much for sharing a little bit about secondary school, Betty. You talked about your mother quite a bit. Seems like she has been a pillar in your life. I don't know if she's around now, but she was a pillar in your life when you were younger. And I want to know, aside from your mom, I'm sure she's a phenomenal mentor in your life. Aside from your mom, who are some of the other mentors that you've had along the way? And why do you think mentoring, especially of young women, is important?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, my mother was a great influence in my life, or is a great influence in my life, because she's still alive, she's still around. She's happy at every step I take every day and how I'm able to create impact wherever I go to. So apart from my mother, who has always taught me how to give, who has always taught me how to be who I am today, I have several mentors in my life. Along the journey of my life, I identify key people who I pick one or two things from them, or who I still keep in touch. But surprisingly, most of my mentors have been men. The first mentor in my life is Joshua Bonsu, who serves as the executive director for Green Africa Youth Organization. There's one thing I took from him, and that is the climate activism. And that is one thing I've learned from him. I feel like you shouldn't get a mentor and maybe imitate the whole life, or study the whole life, or follow the whole life, but pick something you think you want. And that is what I have selected from Joshua Bonsu. He's currently not in the country. He has been a very great influence in my life. I worked with him for over a year, just online, without seeing him directly. And we've created massive impacts. And currently, the company has grown extensively. So that is one huge mentor in my life. Apart from him, the other mentors, like in terms of communication, I model after Evans Edujemfi. He's a communicationist and serves as one of the directors for Toastmaster International, which I am part. This is a platform for improving your communication skills. So this platform has improved me greatly, and I've learned so much. And from that platform, I was able to identify this key person. He's a male, Evans Edujemfi. When you go to LinkedIn, you'll find him. He's a great communicationist, and I'm learning a lot from him. Apart from that, I have another mentor in my life, who's also a male, but this time in the spiritual aspect, like in the godly, fatherly aspect. And he is in the person of CK. He's called Pastor CK. And I just love his devotion to God. I love his devotion to his family. I love his devotion to his children. And that is one thing I have picked from him. So along the way, everywhere I go to, I tend to imitate or take just one person or pick one particular thing I want. And another particular journey of my life is where I served my national service. And that was at Goldfield Ghana Limited in Takwa. I was able to model after one lady called Christiana Yeboah. She's young but intelligent. I love the way she carries herself, bold. and courageous. And that is what I also imitated from her. So yes, I have several mentors in my life with the particular feature I want, I just pick it and I keep on moving. So yes.
All right. Thank you so much for those mentors. I have been looking for them on LinkedIn and hopefully we'll connect with, if not all, some of them. I think the last question I have is, you spoke about mentorship. You just told us some of the mentors you have in your life. To be in the sector that you are, right? I think most people would say is not a conventional sector for females. Can you tell us about, I don't know, but most people might say that it's not a conventional sector for a young female like yourself. Can you tell us about how you found your niche within the sector and how the gender balance within the green space is? And if there's any struggles that you're facing being there.
Yes, as you said, Elizabeth, the green space has fewer gender balanced niche. You have majority of men and fewer females. And sorry for you if you are young in addition. This brings me to another story. I recall having to execute a project in Accra where I had to partner with one assembly. It wasn't easy. I used 3 months to actually break through the assembly and just get them to partner with us. I'm young, I'm a female, and those are the things that sometimes hinder a lot of work that happens. Females have always been seen to be the ones in the kitchen. Females have always been seen to be the ones to do the household chores and not really strive to make the better environment, but they should be the ones actually doing that because we are the ones who create the future. Future is not created without females because we are the ones who give birth to the generations ahead of us. And these are some of the things a lot of people do not know about and should know about. Yes, so in the green space, you have fewer females, and that is why I'm trying to create my niche. I'm still creating it. It's not yet finalized because even in the space, I'm still trying to develop myself. Even in the space, if you're not developed enough to know enough, you will still be at the bottom or you still be considered as irrelevant or not being able to deliver. And that's what I'm trying to do. So even if I have my degree, I still want to further to have my master's. I still keep on climbing. I always tell myself I'm hoping to be the next Minister for Environment. And this is something I'm hoping to do. It all takes, as I always say, or when I was presenting, as I said, it takes the passion, it takes the hard work, but it also takes the commitment. And these are some of the things some females fail to do. You get to some level and you just give up because there are a lot of criticisms coming in, there are a lot of remarks, negative remarks coming in, but I don't think that should stop anyone. I don't think that should stop any female. We should all keep on striving. And this is also a call to more females to join the green space. Just this last International Women's Day, I was able to make a call to females, and that was my quote, and that was my, should I say, call to action, that we need more females joining the green space. We need more females being activists. We need more females holding that signage and saying that the environment belongs to us. The environment belongs to our future children, and we should preserve it for all of us.
Okay. Thank you so much for that call to action. It just ties into my next and final question. So at GIG, we have a lot of remarkable young women who are from very underserved communities and populations. There's this one girl of ours who she was diagnosed for dyslexia when she was in junior high school, but thankfully she's been climbing up and up. And we recently found out that she's gained admission to the University of Mines and Takwa. right? Science and Technology. I think that's the university's name. And so as I see you being a mentor for her, somebody who can be um, a role model for her. Right? Um, if you're talking to this young girl, this GIG student, what piece of advice would you have for her?
Okay. I was once talking to somebody who told me something, and I'll never forget it. I met this young lady who had just one leg. And I didn't know. So when I found out, I was like, oh, I'm sorry for your condition, or I'm sorry for your disability. And she said, I am not disabled. I am only differently abled. And that was it. We are all different. Who knows what they call normal? Nobody defines normal. So in the first place, you don't have a condition. You are only differently abled. Use what you have and create a niche for yourself. I use my experience and I'm creating impact in my community, looking back at that. So wherever you are, as far as life doesn't give up on you, as far as life doesn't say no to you, and as far as you keep on progressing, luckily you're able to get admitted. People don't get the opportunity. You got it. Pick that up. Accept what you have and make it work for you. This is what I would say to her.
Accept what you have and make it work for you. That's very powerful. And I just want to reiterate what you were saying. At GIG, we also advocate for inclusive education. And I like to think that we coined the term differently able, but who knows, maybe somebody else before us had done it. It's very limiting if we see ourselves in the disability, right? So it's important for us to see the different ways and the different abilities that we all have. And from that point, if we start thinking about ourselves from that point and that frame of mind, we could know that no matter what our challenges are, no matter what our limitations are, can also contribute to development in some capacity or some individual in some capacity. So this was a short session that we've had, but I know I've picked up a lot of very good nuggets from talking to Betty. Thank you so much for joining us today. And unfortunately, it could not be more interactive because of the power outage that I told you about earlier. So, but nonetheless, this is Ghana and we move on. Thank you so much for being part of our program today. And we know that we're going to continue to engage with you and have you be an official member of the GIG family, as we like to call our network of supporters. So thank you so much, Betty. We'll talk to you soon. I don't know if you have any final parting words or anything that you want to share with the audience, ways that they could follow you. I've been watching your videos. I've connected with you on LinkedIn just so I could keep track of the work that you do more and more. So if there's anything that you want to put out there, please, this is the platform.
Okay, thank you very much, Elizabeth. They always say the short form of Elizabeth is Betty, but I never agree with them and tell them my name is just Betty. It's so funny, but I would like to say thank you so much for the platform. It's inspiring to see that I'm able to inspire other people. And I'm so happy that my story is a Black woman's own and it's creating inspiration. I would love every of you listening to me, and I know that maybe the video recording will be shared out to people. I know that it's not just to you people, but to everyone I'm speaking to right now, that Thanks for the platform. It's hardly would you find platforms like this, women who are inspiring, or you getting to speak to those kind of women who are actually creating impact within their community. It's a very great platform, and I feel like you people should be grateful for it. Do well to follow me on all social media handles. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel called Be Inspired with Stories from Africa. This is a very friendly platform that shares values, passion, and environment. So you can just do well to subscribe to the channel and receive every notification that comes, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yes, and let's connect from there. Hopefully together tomorrow, I can sit down and listen to you all tell your stories. Thank you very much, Elizabeth, and I look forward to future engagement with you and the team.
Thank you very much once again, Betty. Have a good rest of your evening, and we'll connect with you again very soon.